What's up everyone, Zach here, and today marks another Project Eternal's devlog. It's quite crazy, I'm 3 months into developing this side-scroller action RPG vertical slice, but here we are. I'll have some timeline updates at the end of the video, but we're going to dive into what's new first since there is quite a bit to cover. Before we do so, be sure to help me out by hitting that like button, and if you do want to follow my journey, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Let's go. So one of the very first updates I made was to the combat system. Heavy attacks have been added, but the animations are not final, as I do want the light attacks to look a little bit lighter and the heavy attacks to look a little bit more beefy. Right now they're kind of a mix. These attacks currently do twice as much damage as the light attacks, but will likely be reduced as more variety is added to the combat system. The two attack types also intertwine and use the same combo counter, which makes everything feel a bit more dynamic. So if you do combo attack number 1 of the light attack tree and then you move and attack with a heavy attack, you'll end up doing the second heavy attack within the combo tree. So it just, like I mentioned, a bit more dynamic and feels a bit better than if everything was just sort of statically aligned. Right now though, the combat still does feel a bit rigid, but that will be polished in time. The light and heavy attacks also got tied into the new momentum system that I've been discussing periodically on the past 2 devlogs. At the bottom right, you'll see an orange bar. That is the player's momentum. You can gain momentum through light attacks and use momentum through heavy attacks and other abilities that will be added later on. The system is designed to encourage consistent aggression and mitigate the temptation to turtle up in combat. Right now, the momentum gain per light attack, degradation over time, and required momentum per heavy attack have placeholder values for testing purposes, and they'll be changed over time to better fit the feel now that the system is basically 100% functional except for a little bit of bugs that I need to work out. Another major feature added in the last 30 days was the skill tree, which includes the character stats as well. A big shout out to Ryan Laley here, as his tutorials were very helpful in creating the foundation for this UI. His channel is a treasure trove of tutorials and he's super active, so if you're wanting to learn about Unreal Engine 4, definitely be sure to check his channel out. Starting from the bottom of the skill tree and working our way up, the first skills that the player can pick from is a passive strength, endurance, or agility increase, and each of those currently costs 1 skill point. Moving up the trees, depending on which one you go up, you can choose from a whirlwind ability, quick stab ability, or the player can enhance momentum gained through light attacks, and each of those currently costs 2 skill points. On the very top of the trees, the player can pick from Warrior's Cry, which will be an offensive buff, Enduring Whisper, which will be a defensive buff, and Stoneheart, which will passively increase the player's health and strength, and each of those costs 3 skill points. A lot of the skill tree UI is not really final at this point. The concepts are certainly mostly final. I know what I kind of want to do, it's just I need to ensure that I have solid names for things, the descriptions are solid, the aesthetic in general needs to be reworked to look a lot more polished, and the stat gains as well will be tweaked over time. But the foundation is there at this point, so I'm very happy with where I'm currently at with the skill tree UI. But how will skill points be gained, you might ask? Well, the player is going to start the game with no skill points available, but will be able to gain skill points through leveling and exploration. For example, at the end of Side Dungeon 1, there is now a relic that can be obtained, giving the player 3 skill points. The general idea is to punish speedrunning and encourage exploration, and this is one way that I'm going to accomplish that. The final major feature added in the last 30 or so days is the interaction system. When the player goes up to an interactable object, they'll be able to hold E to interact with it. This has been utilized for moving between levels and also picking up the relic at the end of Side Dungeon 1. I did have to tweak it just like the skill tree UI to function exactly how I wanted it to, but the foundation is extremely solid, and a shout out to Reed's channel as I leveraged his tutorial series for the system. And just a quick FYI, there will be links to both Reed's channel as well as Ryan Laley's channel down below in the description, so once again, definitely be sure to check out both of those channels. With the major features out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss some minor additions. While the AI still isn't completely fixed, as you'll probably notice, they are smarter now and will no longer twitch around the player in between attacks. If they're still in range, they'll stay put. Also, in preparation of incorporating the player's stats into damage output, I also created an animation notify that designates what attack is currently happening, so that way the correct damage can be output. Additionally, new grass has been added to level 1, and I built a placeholder cabin as well, and both the cabin and grass are thanks to the Unreal Engine marketplace, and they still need to be refined quite a bit, so in the next video you'll probably see quite a significant improvement when it comes to both of those elements. So with the major and minor additions out of the way, skipping over the tiny changes that save you all many hours, because there was a lot of tiny changes throughout the past 30 days, let's go ahead and discuss the future. As you can probably assume, since we're roughly 45 days to the new year, my goal of completing the vertical slice by the end of the year just is not as achievable as I once thought. While I do think the main features will be added by that point, they certainly will not be polished enough. That said, by the end of the year, my new goal is to release a build for testing that will include level 1 as well as side dungeon 1, so that way you all can check it out and provide some feedback based off of your experience. To be honest, I partially blame all the new game releases, as that certainly did not help my productivity, and I'm sure you all can relate to that. Well, we've reached the end of another Project Eternals devlog. I'm thinking about putting out some in-between devlogs that will be more topic-oriented, so that way you won't have to be hanging for 30-ish days waiting for a new video. If you do want to check those out and help me out with the YouTube algorithm, as well as continue to follow my journey, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you already haven't, and also be sure to ring that bell, because that way YouTube will actually alert you when a new video is out. I also welcome every bit of feedback that you have down below in the comment section, so be sure to leave some feedback for me. I greatly appreciate it. But that said, my name is Zach, and I'll catch you all next time.